I had a hard time even finding a Mexican rapper when I started. But after that, shit, they started dropping. They started coming out the woodworks everywhere.
In fact, when we was doing the Making the Matter Worse album, you know, Carlos was doing, you know, like he started doing his shit, and you know, and I've always believed he saw what Grim was doing, and you know what I'm saying, and he, you know, he knew he could do the same, you know what I'm saying, if not better.
First time I remember meeting Carlos, he came to my crib on the southwest side.
I met him in the 9th grade, man, at Milby. We're actually skipping classes, me, him, and Mohammed. And they used to call him Coy. Coy, what are you doing? And back then he had a big ass ponytail, a dyed one, and some little curlies, and they were dyed when we were in high school.
SPM, I met through my homie Adrian Savoy, aka Hook. Hook would come around every day, well, not every day, but you know, when he would pick me up, he would be playing SPM tape. This was after I got out of jail. And he would be like, hey, you heard of Southpaw Mexican? I'd be like, no, I ain't heard no Southpaw Mexican. And he kept on playing it. Then one day, he just took me to SPM's trailer. And after that day, we just clicked, we just stayed. SPM did like an hour of raps on paper, and I freestyled for an hour. We was going back and forth. You know, he said in When Devil Strike, he thought he seen the devil when I freestyled. I don't know if that was good or bad, but...
I met SPM the first time. I was actually pulling into a Bank of America on Washington Avenue. It was down the street from the dope house. I had a Cadillac at the time, and I got off. A green Mercedes pulled up on my left side as I was getting out, and I was like, man, this dude almost clipped my door. You know, and I was like, okay, no big deal. I went in, did my business, came back out. And I was going back toward the hood. The same Mercedes pulled up and almost clipped me when I'm making that right. And I was like, oh, hell no. I'm at a U-turn. I got off and knocked on the passenger side door, and it happened to be Los. He rolled down the window and he was like, what's up? You know, in his little crazy ass rap voice. I was like, man, you almost hit me twice, man. And he's like, you rap? And I was like, do I rap? Like, nah. He's like, well, come check me out in 2-3 weeks. I guess that was his way of calming me down.
I'll never forget the first time I met Carlos. He started rapping, and he had this nasal-ass, mosquito-ass voice. You know.
So I was going to let y'all guys hear that, but that can be later. And right now, we'll see what FILERO's been up to.
So Carlos, he put that tape in my tape deck, and I heard his first demo. I was kind of blown away by his voice. His voice like fucked me up. I was like, man, this motherfucker got a crazy voice, but his lyrics were on point, and he had compound rhymes.
You could be 100 on your business side, because I'm telling you that the music business is 90% business and only 10% talent.
Working with Carlos, I actually showed him how to make beats, man, way back in the gap, because I already had 3 albums out. We did Grimm's album, Aggravated, and The Most Hated.
You have a legend in the house, the man that taught me how to make beats, and just gave me everything, man. Gave me everything he had, just 100%, nothing but love coming out of him. And you don't meet a lot of people like that just willing to share with you everything that they know and share with you everything that they have. And of course, I'm forever grateful.
I would say about 80% of the production was me and Carlos. He had a couple of other producers, but like I showed Los how to use the keyboard and how to sequence on the keyboard, how to make the beats.
I mean, because I can't even make drums like that. You already know I've always had problems with drums, but I mean, I can't even make fucking drums like that.
He had good melodies, and I had the beats, and we put the beats to the melodies, and that's how that album came out.
I never signed a contract with Dope House. The only contract I ever signed was with Jam Down, Patrick Lewis. But the reason why I went to Dope House was because Carlos came in. Carlos, High So High.
I liked it, the whole Dope House movement, even before it was big, you know, because upon meeting him, I met a lot of the other fellas. So Most Hated or Aggravated at the time, Fat Money, Salty Water. So when I seen that particular movement, I really wanted to be part of it.
So when I met Carlos, we did Hustle Town. And shit, y'all know what Hustle Town album did. That motherfucker's still selling to this day.
Merry-Go-Round, Los just threw me on there. You know, he felt like I could do good on the second verse. He already had the second verse wrote, you know what I'm saying? So I said, fuck it, I'll do it. I have no doubts on who I am as an artist and as a writer, but you got something that you want me to compliment that you wrote. And so he wrote the verse and I dropped it.
I had already wrote it. I had already done it. And like I said, I showed it to Grim first. And then I showed it to Ike, and then I showed it to Carlos on that day that Carlos went to jam down. I followed him from there and went straight to the compound and worked on it straight up right there, showed him the beat, gave him the hook. I had high so high, please don't blow my high.
Carlos, SPM, he used to open up for us at a lot of shows. We was already kind of a little bit established with the Aggravated, with the Grim and the Most Hated.
We could tap into the Latin market. Of course, first we got to focus on our, we've got to, we've got to round up our thing, which is the Mexican American fan.
So Carlos got on this song. I put him on the Warriors, and Warriors, from what I believe, was the first time he was actually in the record stores on the shelf. And he went first on the Warriors with that MC Torturer, and he killed that.
Me being in prison and all we have is the news and shit, we're always watching the news, and so I've become a much more political person. Like when I was free, I don't even think I knew who the fucking president was. I just wasn't, I didn't even know who won the Super Bowl. I didn't know who won the NBA. I didn't know, I just wasn't, I was out on the streets all day.
Don't see the loneliness that comes with all this. When the word is cold and frozen, it's you that I'll be holding.
When I came out to Houston, where the label was at, that's when I made a lot of connects, I started messing with Baby Beesh, Shut 'Em Down Records.
D-Town, man, we took it to another, even bigger level, man, when we got with Shut 'Em Down. He blessed me with a ride, a nice-ass apartment, high-rise, downtown Houston.
Shut 'Em Down. D-Town, rest in peace, man. We did Scrooston together. That's one of the all-time, best collabs, you know what I'm saying, Dope House had was Scrooston, you know what I'm saying, with Shut 'Em Down. It's a big success.
Bring It to the Table was the first album we had on Shut 'Em Down. And that was basically, Bring It to the Table was pretty much a compilation of all our artists.
There was animosity between Dope House and Shut 'Em Down, definitely.
Things was going good at Dope House. And through learning, with Corey, he was like, we need to work with other people. So me and Log was already working on the Wet Black. And at the time, Shut 'Em Down, it was Happy P and Log. And so me, I'm just ready to work. So I put myself in that situation and we completed the Wet Black album. And that's how that came out.
Well, the cover was me and X-Ray. X-Ray was a DJ from 97.9, I believe, at the time. And he helped us out with a lot of influence on we were trying to make a little more radio, try to break out the underground a little bit.
At a time when I was working with Dope House and I would go work and Shut 'Em Down, that, it was like, Carlos had even asked me at one time, are you going to pick sides? You know what I'm saying? Well, you going to stay here? You going to go over there? Who you going to work with? You know what I'm saying? Who you going to be with?
I have been writing for the longest and nobody was trying to hear me, you know what I'm saying? Dope House was already established with Bash, Rashid, Grim, Happy P, Russell Lee, and Low G. Pimpstress, 24/7 Hustlers, Hillwood Hustlers, Major Riley, all that was before me, all of that. Even Lucky Luciano was before me. I wasn't taken serious for a while, man.
Me and Coach clicked up. We got real cool. He was going to be signed as a solo artist. He was starting to work on a solo album. And like I said, we were just kind of real cool. And I happened to be in the studio on the first song he did, Dirty Work, rest in peace. He had a beat going. It was for the dismissal. And in the middle of the session, I kind of had an idea for a hook. I told Coast about it. And he's like, man, drop that shit. I had never written or recorded, so it was like my first ever inspired rap. So I was kind of awkward about it, but once we dropped it, he's like, "You want to write a verse to it?" I'm like, "Shit, let's do it." And the rest was history. You know, but we were two separate artists. We just happened to be on each other's timeline.
Like team
at that point. Yeah, like, and we meshed real well. Because it resonated with so many people, I think people want that again.
Whoever loudest, y'all loud on there? Y'all loud on there?
Yeah, you can give me straight down a little bit. Hello, buddy. A lot of people in Texas just took liking to us and took us under their wings. And honestly, that was one of the best times in my life, man. First time that I really got to hear different music.
Back in those days, you weren't really around.
You talking about them Concert Avenue days?
Yeah, you know, back when, you know, Grim and FILERO and Shadow and everybody was putting H-Town on the map. Yeah. You were still in juvie back then.
He started around that time when fucking with me and FILERO around that time. He did the Southside Mexican, you know what I'm saying? You know, I was fucking with Bing, and you know, Ike Man wasn't really fucking with him because he thought Bing was just a little hard. I fuck with Bing. I always fuck with youngsters. I'm just that fuck with youngsters. And Bing was raw with it, man. And then, you know, and then I told him to show Ike Man, you know, I always take the credit. Took it to FILERO, you know, that's always awesome with the beats, my nigga, and he heard big shit, man.
I had produced Mafioso. Mafioso was like, it's a big song, had Bing on there, Grim, South Park Mexican.
That's when Bing came in the game, but you know, I would always fuck with Bing around in the park because he would always be freestyling and shit. And fool would always stay rapping, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then the same thing. FILERO got a hold of him and boom, he did a lot of shit. And you know, bounced around, started doing fucking with South Park Mexican, and just went from there. Bing became a little Latin legend, then got caught up on the case that streets got the best of him.
We took the sample from, well, not a sample, but the melody from Beethoven, I think, and we put that on there. Classic piano riff with a Scarface, classic movie with 3 classic rappers, and we made a fucking classic with that bitch.
It's the physical artist that's out there that's really gonna make the paper, that's really gonna do the touring, and you know,
I'm right about that.
I can do a show in here, but all I'm gonna get is a motherfucking Milky Way, maybe a bag of popcorn. You know, I mean, you can't make no money touring in this motherfucker, but you can. Last time I did a show, I think I got about 8 mint sticks, but you can't make no money.
You know, Lil Bing, he was always hot. You know what I'm saying? Bing was always dope, you know, but at the time we was younger, it was like we was competitive rapping. So when I thought about the song Desperados that I could get Bing and Villain, to me it was like a mega hit, mega underground hit, you know what I mean? You know, it did a few numbers, but people still to this day say Desperados.
I don't remember too much about them days, but I was kind of always out of it. You know what I'm saying? Under the influence, and you know, I kind of hated that because around that era, we was always kind of fucking me up in my career too. Like, kind of was a blur, man, because it was so fast, and I could honestly say that I was scared to take that next step of success, and at the same time mixed with under influence with Xanax and shit. And I don't know, man.
There was a tension in the beginning when Shut 'Em Down was posing a threat, you know what I'm saying, to the dope house, because they were. You know what I'm saying? They was on their own agenda. And they was doing their shit. And, you know, basically, to me, Shut 'Em Down was the aggravated members, most hated members, along with Fat Texas, and, you know, and Flake and DJ Reb and all them, you know, boys, Sin.
Hey, you know, lately, man, I've been real picky with my motherfucking music, man. Like, I'll fucking write and I'll sit there and I'll be trying to perfect each fucking line now, man. Yeah, I used to write that shit. Now I'm like I'm studying hard on them motherfuckers.
Yeah, you know, I rewrite, like, my verses, you know, anything that I'm going to actually lay down, I rewrite. Sometimes I remember one verse I rewrote 17 times.
Another fucking, you know, Wu-Tang, NWA fucking crew, you know, coming, and Carlos was, you know, pretty much himself, and his other, you know, artists, and it was Dope House getting shut him down. That shit was fucking fun.
Technically, under Dope House, I only released 2 albums. Let the Games Begin in 21st Century, because, you know, we was busy doing the Lone Star stuff and doing features with SPM.
Los was already going through his trial. We were working on the Twin Berettas album, and when I say we, it was me and Coast. The Twin Berettas album dropped in August 2002. We put out 1, but we were working on the second one, and they just weren't moving at the pace we wanted. You know, Los had already gotten in trouble. It was like 04 maybe.
I remember Salty Water Records, Pancho V, and Tommy G.
Every big empire has fallen in history. You know, Rome looked like they would,
late. Goodbye.
And then one night, Happy P had his daughter, Amaya Sofia, and I was at the Dope House, and he's like, "Hey, Gotti, tattoo my daughter's name on me." And I was like, "Yeah, I bet, I got you." So we went back to his place, and I tatted him up. And he's like, "Well, I ain't got no cash right now to pay you, like, money. Would you take a beat?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, give me a beat, man." So he gave me my first beat.
You can never stop perfecting that skill. You can, your mind will always get better and better. You'll be able to make more and more shit rhyme. Of course, Eminem is still just fucking mind-boggling. You know, beast mode. Yeah, that motherfucker. He's still mind-boggling, but you know, we're right there. You know, we're right there. So
I already know it, man. That's what's up.
Lone Star Riders was Happy P, Baby Bash, Max Manili, Low G, Russell Lee, myself, SPM, and then there was some off members like Boo Rossini, and I think I got everybody. I think that's everybody. Because you know what? Matter of fact, hold up. That's funny you fucking said that. Because, bam, Lone Star Riders cassette. So, let's see if I got my math right. And I know we ain't got that much time. Who I missed? Nobody. Oh, Grim.
Grim was there that night, and Russell Lee. And I had never recorded ever, so when I didn't know how to write bars. I didn't know how many bars you're supposed to write. So I wrote like, I think 32 or 36 bars, just wrote. And Happy recorded me, man. And I needed a hook. And Russell Lee and Grim helped me write it and sing it. And then Carlos ended up hearing that song, and that's how he took me serious after that. And that's how I got signed.
Twin Berettas, man, shouts out to Quarter Key, shouts out to Coast. Coast, very, very great artist. Quarter Key, very, very good writer. And Twin Berettas definitely brought something to the table that nobody else had.
My craziest memory of SPM, I had an idea for a song. Dirty Bird produced the track, by the way. After Coast and I dropped verses on it, he walked in and he dropped the verse. He liked it. And I remember we got a CD burnt, and I had the same Cadillac at the time, and we played it in the Cadillac. And we heard it twice, and after hearing it, he looked at me, and I was in the driver's side, and he says, "You know you want to hear it again."